She was giggling with him all night. So I placed my wedding ring on the champagne ice and left. 10 minutes later, a text from his wife changed everything. Screenshots, dates, evidence. My marriage wasn't just broken, it was criminal. My name is Leonard Mason. I'm 45 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I had everything figured out. VP of Supply Chain at North Point Manufacturing, 2 grown kids who actually turned out decent, a house in Riverside that we'd finally paid off last spring. Beatrice and I met at a procurement conference back in 2003, married 2 years later. She became director of procurement at the same company where I worked. Some people said mixing business and marriage was asking for trouble, but we'd made it work for 19 years under the same corporate roof. The Regional Manufacturing Gala was the kind of event Beatrice lived for. She'd picked out her dress 3 weeks in advance, some emerald number that probably cost more than our first car. The ballroom at the Grandview Hotel was packed with industry people, all of them drinking expensive wine and pretending their companies weren't bleeding market share to overseas competitors. I wore the navy suit Beatrice bought me last Christmas, the one she said made me look distinguished instead of just old. Harrison Sinclair arrived fashionably late, as consultants often do. He had that polished look they all have, silver the temples, teeth too white to be natural, a handshake that lasted exactly 3 seconds. He'd been working with our company for 4 months, brought in to streamline our vendor relationships. Beatrice had been his primary point of contact. Professional collaboration, she called it. Strategic partnership. I watched them from across our table. They were standing near the bar, Harrison leaning in close to hear her over the string quartet. She laughed at something he said, not her polite networking laugh, but the real one, the one that used to be mine. Her hand rested on his forearm, fingers light against his sleeve. When she finally glanced back toward our table and saw me watching, she didn't pull away. She didn't look startled or guilty. She just held my gaze for a moment, then turned back to Harrison and laughed again. That's when I knew. Not suspected, not worried. Knew. I stood up slowly, excused myself from the conversation I wasn't really part of anyway, and walked toward the bar. Not toward them, toward the champagne station beside them. The ice bucket sat there, sweating in the warm room, bottles nested in crushed ice like there was something precious. I reached into my jacket pocket and felt the gold band I'd worn for 22 years. Slid it off my finger without ceremony, without announcement. Just a simple motion, practiced and final. I placed it carefully on the ice beside Harrison's half-empty glass. The metal gleamed against the white frost. Beatrice saw it. Her laugh died mid-breath. I buttoned my jacket, turned, and walked toward the exit. Didn't run, didn't storm out. Just left. Behind me, the quartet kept playing. The chandeliers kept glittering. And my marriage ended without a single word spoken. The parking garage was cold, concrete, and mercifully empty. My footsteps echoed off the low ceiling as I walked toward my car, hands steady despite the adrenaline burning through my chest. I didn't feel angry yet. That would come later. Right now, I just felt clear, like someone had wiped fog off a window I'd been staring through for months. I sat in the driver's seat, door closed, engine off. The silence pressed in around me. Through the windshield, I could see the garage entrance, yellow lights marking the exit back to the street, back to normalcy. But there was no going back now. I'd left my wedding band on a champagne bucket in front of 100 industry professionals. By tomorrow morning, half the manufacturing sector would know Leonard Mason's marriage had imploded at the regional gala. My phone was in my jacket pocket. I pulled it out, not to call anyone, just to have something to do with my hands. The screen was dark, no notifications, no missed calls. Beatrice hadn't even tried to reach me yet. That told me everything I needed to know about her priorities tonight. I opened the app I'd installed 3 months ago, the one Tristan had recommended when I'd mentioned wanting better security on our financial accounts. It was designed for digital asset protection, the kind of thing people in supply chain management use to safeguard proprietary vendor data. But it worked just as well for personal finances. With 3 taps, I activated the contingency protocols I'd quietly set up back in September, when Beatrice's business trips started lasting an extra day, when her phone started going face down on the kitchen counter. Joint accounts locked. Shared credit cards frozen. The house, which I'd quietly refinanced into a family trust last quarter, became untouchable to anyone except me and the kids. It wasn't revenge. It was protection. I'd spent 22 years building financial stability, and I wasn't about to let it evaporate because my wife decided Harrison Sinclair's consulting expertise extended beyond supply chain optimization. My phone buzzed. Not Beatrice. Unknown number. I stared at it for a moment, then opened the message. Mr. Mason, my name is Celeste Sinclair. I'm Harrison's wife. I saw what you saw tonight. I think we should talk. Below the text was an attachment. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the screen, then tapped it. The image loaded slowly, pixel by pixel, until I was looking at a photograph taken in a restaurant I didn't recognize. Low lighting, intimate booth, Beatrice sitting across from Harrison. But this wasn't from tonight. The timestamp in the corner read 3 weeks ago, November 2nd. The night Beatrice said she was having dinner with a vendor rep from Ohio. In the photo, Harrison's hand covered hers on the table. Not a professional handshake, not a friendly gesture. His fingers were laced through hers, comfortable and familiar. Beatrice was smiling, not at the camera, at him. The kind of smile I used to think was reserved for me. I sat there staring at the screen until it dimmed. Then I wrote back 2 words. When and where? The response came within 30 seconds. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Fletcher's Coffee on Riverside. I have more to show you. I locked my phone and started the engine. The parking garage suddenly felt too small, too confined. I needed to move, needed to drive, needed to put distance between myself and that ballroom where my wife was probably still laughing with her consultant. As I pulled out onto the main road, my phone buzzed again. This time it was Beatrice. Where did you go? People are asking questions. I didn't reply. Let her wonder. Let her scramble to explain why her husband walked out of the gala after placing his wedding band on ice like a final chess move. Let her spend the rest of the evening trying to manage the optics while I drove home to an empty house and started planning my next steps. Traffic was light. The city lights blurred past my windows. By the time I pulled into our driveway, Beatrice had called 4 times. I silenced my phone and went inside. The house felt different already. Not like home. Like a stage set I was preparing to dismantle, piece by piece, until nothing remained but the truth and whatever came after it. Tomorrow, I'd meet Celeste Sinclair. Tonight, I'd sleep alone in the guest room and let Beatrice come home to locked accounts and unanswered questions. The game had changed, and I intended to win. Fletcher's Coffee sat on a quiet corner of Riverside, the kind of place that served overpriced lattes to professionals who needed neutral ground for uncomfortable conversations. I arrived 15 minutes early, ordered black coffee I didn't want, and took a corner booth where I could watch the entrance. Old habits from years of vendor negotiations. Always control the environment when you can. Celeste Sinclair walked in at exactly 10 o'clock. I recognized her immediately, not from any previous meeting, but because she carried herself with the same controlled purpose I'd felt building in myself since last night. Mid-40s, dark blazer, no jewelry except a thin watch. She spotted me, nodded once, and walked over without hesitation. Mr. Mason, she said, extending her hand. Her grip was firm, professional. Leonard, I replied, and thank you for reaching out. She sat across from me, declined the waitress's offer of coffee, and pulled a tablet from her bag. No small talk, no apologies for the situation, just business. I've been married to Harrison for 14 years, Celeste began, her voice low and steady. This isn't his first affair. It's his 4th that I know of. Maybe his 5th. She slid the tablet across the table. I'm a corporate fraud investigator. Pattern recognition is what I do. 6 months ago, I started documenting everything. The screen showed a spreadsheet. Dates, locations, credit card transactions, photo timestamps. It was meticulous, organized, damning. I scrolled through it slowly, my supply chain brain automatically cataloging the data points. Restaurant charges when Harrison told Celeste he was working late. Hotel room bookings in cities where Beatrice had claimed vendor meetings. Venmo transfers disguised as business reimbursements. November 2nd, I said, stopping on one entry. That's the photo you sent me. Rosario's on 5th Street, Celeste confirmed. I followed them. Sat 2 tables away. They never noticed me. Too focused on each other. I looked up at her. Why are you showing me this? Because Harrison is careless with other things besides his marriage vows. She tapped the screen, bringing up a different file. 3 months ago, Your wife recommended Harrison's consulting firm for a vendor optimization contract worth $400,000. She didn't disclose their relationship. That's a conflict of interest, possibly fraud, depending on how the contract was structured. My jaw tightened. She pushed that contract through. I remember the board meeting. Said Harrison's firm was the most qualified. Was it? No. There were two other firms with better credentials and lower bids. Celeste nodded. Harrison's been using his affairs to secure contracts for years. The women he targets are always in procurement, business development, vendor management, positions with purchasing authority. Your wife isn't his victim, Leonard. She's his accomplice. The words hit harder than I expected. I'd spent last night telling myself Beatrice had been seduced, manipulated, caught up in something she didn't fully understand. But the spreadsheet in front of me told a different story. This wasn't romance. This was corruption. What do you want from me? I asked. Cooperation. Evidence. Access to your company's internal communications, if you can get them without breaking laws. She leaned forward slightly. I'm divorcing Harrison, but I'm also filing complaints with the State Commerce Commission and potentially the FBI if the fraud is significant enough. Your wife's involvement makes her liable too. If we work together, we can make sure they both face consequences. I should have felt conflicted. Some part of me should have wanted to protect Beatrice, to give her a chance to explain. But that part had died last night when I placed my wedding band on the ice and walked away. What do you need? I asked. Celeste pulled out a small drive. Everything you have access to. Emails, meeting notes, contract approvals. Anything showing how that $400,000 deal went through. And anything else you find that connects them. I took the drive. My son works in IT audit. He can pull communications logs without leaving traces. Good. The cleaner we keep this, the stronger the case. She stood, collecting her tablet. One more thing. Don't confront Beatrice yet. Let her think she's still in control. People make mistakes when they feel safe. I stood as well, sliding the drive into my jacket pocket. How long have you known about all of this? 6 months. But I didn't have enough evidence until recently. Harrison's gotten sloppy. She almost smiled. Arrogance does that to people. We shook hands again, a formal seal to an informal alliance. I'll be in touch, Celeste said, and walked out into the morning sunlight. I sat back down, finished my cold coffee, and pulled out my phone. Tristan answered on the second ring. Dad, everything okay? I need your help, I said. Professional help. Can you come by the house tonight? Of course. What's going on? I'll explain when you get here. Just bring your laptop. After I hung up, I sat there for another 10 minutes, watching people come and go, living their normal lives. My life hadn't been normal since last night. Maybe it hadn't been normal for months, and I was just finally seeing it clearly. Beatrice had called 6 more times this morning. I hadn't answered. Let her sit with the silence. Let her wonder what I knew and what I was planning. Because now I had Celeste Sinclair's evidence, Tristan's technical skills, and my own 22 years of knowledge about how Beatrice operated. The game had shifted again, and this time I held better cards. Tristan arrived at 7 that evening with his laptop bag and a pizza. He'd always been practical like that, never showing up empty-handed, never assuming anything without data to back it up. At 25, he'd already made a name for himself in IT audit, the kind of consultant companies called when they needed to find holes in their systems before regulators did. Mom's been blowing up my phone, he said, setting the pizza on the kitchen counter. She says you're not answering her calls. Says you walked out of the gala last night and froze all the accounts. That's accurate, I replied, opening 2 beers from the fridge. Tristan took one, studying my face. You want to tell me what's going on? I handed him the drive Celeste had given me. Your mother's having an affair with Harrison Sinclair. Has been for at least 3 months, probably longer. She also pushed through a $400,000 contract for his consulting firm without disclosing their relationship. I need to know exactly how deep this goes. To his credit, Tristan didn't flinch, didn't argue, just nodded slowly and opened his laptop. What do you need? Communications logs between Mom and Harrison. Emails, texts if you can access them. Any internal company documents related to that vendor contract. I need a timeline and evidence that holds up legally. His fingers were already moving across the keyboard. I have legitimate access to North Point's audit systems. Reviewed their procurement protocols last quarter as part of a compliance check. My credentials are still active. He glanced up. This could get Mom fired. Maybe worse. I know. And you're okay with that. I took a long drink of beer. Your mother made her choices. I'm making mine. She doesn't get to commit fraud and have an affair and walk away clean. Tristan was quiet for a moment, then nodded. Arabella's going to lose it when she finds out. Your sister already knows something's wrong. She called me this afternoon. Said Mom's been acting strange at work all day. Snapping at people. Missing meetings. I sat down across from him. I need you both to understand something. This isn't about revenge. It's about accountability. Your mother violated her professional ethics in our marriage. Both have consequences. I get it, Dad. Tristan's screen filled with lines of code and access logs. Give me an hour. I'll pull everything we need. While he worked, I heated up the pizza and tried to eat. My phone buzzed constantly. Beatrice had graduated from calls to texts, each message more desperate than the last. The accounts are frozen. We need to talk. Please call me. This is childish. You're overreacting. I didn't respond to any of them. Around 8:30, Arabella showed up unannounced. She looked tired, still in her work clothes, her vendor management badge clipped to her belt. Dad, she said, stepping into the kitchen and seeing Tristan at the laptop. What's happening? Mom's falling apart at work. She tried to use the company card for lunch, and it got declined. Then she tried to pull budget reports and got locked out of half the procurement systems. Sit down, sweetheart, I said gently. She sat. I explained everything. The gala, the affair, the contract fraud, Celeste's evidence. Arabella's face went from confusion to anger to something harder I didn't have a name for. How long? She asked quietly. Months. Maybe longer. And she involved her work? Our work. Arabella shook her head. That's not just stupid, Dad. That's career suicide. If this gets out, if HR finds out she pushed through a contract for someone she was sleeping with without disclosure, she's done. Not just at North Point. Everywhere. I know, I said. Good. Arabella's voice was cold. She should be. Tristan looked up from his laptop. Found something. You're going to want to see this. We both moved to stand behind him. The screen showed an email chain from August, 3 months before the vendor contract was approved. Beatrice to Harrison. The subject line read, Our arrangement. Tristan opened it. I read the first paragraph and felt my stomach turn. Harrison, as we discussed, I'll make sure the RFP criteria favor your firm's profile. The other bidders won't know the specifications were tailored until it's too late. In exchange, you'll credit me as a strategic advisor for the project, which positions me for VP when Richard retires next spring. Everybody wins. There was more. Much more. Email after email, outlining exactly how Beatrice had manipulated the procurement process to guarantee Harrison's firm would win the contract. It wasn't just conflict of interest. It was conspiracy to commit fraud. Dad, Tristan said carefully, this is federal offense territory. If North Point finds out, they have to report it. If they don't, they're liable too. Then they'll find out, I said. Forward everything to my personal email. Encrypted. Then wipe your access logs so nobody knows you pull these files. Already done. Tristan replied. I'm good at this, remember? Arabella was staring at the screen, reading the emails over and over. She's ruined. Completely ruined. She ruined herself. I corrected. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. My phone rang again. Beatrice. This time I answered. Put it on speaker so the kids could hear. Leonard, where are you? Her voice was strained, barely controlled panic underneath. Home, I said calmly. We need to talk. Now. This isn't funny anymore. I'm not laughing, Beatrice. The accounts, the cards, everything's frozen. I can't access anything. You can't just lock me out of our finances because you're upset about something you think you saw. I saw exactly what was there to see. You and Harrison Sinclair, giggling like teenagers while your husband sat 20 feet away. Silence on the other end. Then, that's not what it looked like. Then what was it? We were just talking. Networking. That's what these events are for. How much did he pay you for that $400,000 contract, Beatrice? The silence stretched longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Harder. Defensive. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. I have emails. All of them. I know exactly what you did. I could hear her breathing through the phone. We'll discuss this when I get home. No, we won't. You're not coming home. I had the locks changed this afternoon. You can't do that. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. I transferred it into a family trust last quarter. You signed the paperwork, remember? You just didn't read it carefully enough. I kept my voice level, factual. You can stay at a hotel tonight. Or with Harrison, if his wife hasn't kicked him out yet. Either way, you're not staying here. Leonard, don't do this. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. It's already broken. You broke it. I paused. A lawyer will contact you tomorrow with divorce papers. I suggest you hire one of your own. A good one. You're going to need it. I hung up before she could respond. Arabella was staring at me with something like awe. Dad, that was ice cold. That was necessary. I corrected. Your mother made calculated decisions. So am I. Tristan closed his laptop. What happens next? Next, I send everything to Celeste. She takes it to whoever needs to see it. North Point's legal department, the Commerce Commission, maybe the FBI if the fraud is severe enough. I looked at both my kids. This is going to get ugly. People at work are going to talk. Your mother's going to blame me. Probably blame you both too for taking my side. Are you okay with that? She lied to you for months, Arabella said firmly. She committed fraud at our company. I'm not protecting that. Same, Tristan added. She made her bed. Let her lie in it. I pulled both of them into a hug, grateful for kids who turned out decent despite everything. Outside, car headlights swept across the driveway. Beatrice's Mercedes. She sat there for a long time, engine running, probably trying to decide what to do next. Eventually, she backed out and drove away. The house felt quieter after she left. Cleaner somehow. Pizza's cold, Arabella said finally. I'll reheat it, Tristan offered. We ate together in the kitchen, 3 people rebuilding something that had just fallen apart. And for the first time since last night, I felt like maybe we'd be okay. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually. The courier arrived at Beatrice's temporary apartment Wednesday afternoon. I knew because she called me immediately afterward, her voice shaking with something between rage and disbelief. Divorce papers? You're actually doing this? Yes, I said simply. I was in my office at North Point, door closed, reviewing supply chain reports like it was any other day. Leonard, we can fix this. Couples go through rough patches. We can go to counseling, work through whatever you think happened. I don't think anything happened, Beatrice. I know what happened. I have emails, photographs, financial records. Your affair with Harrison isn't speculation. It's documented fact. Silence stretched between us. Then her tone changed, hardened. You're really going to destroy my career over this. Ruin everything we built. I didn't destroy anything. You did that yourself when you committed fraud to help your boyfriend win a contract. I kept my voice level, professional. North Point's legal department received an anonymous complaint yesterday. They're conducting a full investigation. The State Commerce Commission is involved now too. This isn't about our marriage anymore. It's about criminal conduct. You did this. Her voice rose. You sent them that information. I didn't have to. You left a trail wide enough for anyone to follow. Harrison's wife found it. Other people found it. You were careless, Beatrice. That's on you. I want half of everything. The house, the retirement accounts, all of it. Read the prenup we updated last year. Section 7, subsection C. Infidelity combined with professional misconduct voids your claim to marital assets beyond what you brought into the marriage. I paused. You brought in about $40,000 in student loan debt. You'll be leaving with roughly the same. That's not legal. No judge will uphold that. My attorney disagrees. But you're welcome to try. I heard papers rustling on her end. You should know Harrison's wife is filing for divorce too. And she's pressing charges. Fraud, conspiracy, theft by deception. If those charges stick, you're looking at more than unemployment. You're looking at prison time. Her breathing was ragged now. This isn't you. You're not this cold. You're right. The old me wasn't. But the old me also believed his wife had integrity. We were both wrong about who we thought we were living with. I hung up before she could respond. That afternoon, I got called into a meeting with North Point CEO, James Blackwood. He was 62, built the company from nothing, the kind of man who valued loyalty and despised deception. Leonard, he said, gesturing to a chair. Close the door. I did. When I turned around, his expression was grim. I've been briefed on the investigation into Beatrice's conduct. The preliminary findings are damning. She manipulated the RFP process, failed to disclose a conflict of interest, and potentially cost this company hundreds of thousands in value. He leaned back. I'm sorry you're caught in this. I'm not caught in it, James. I'm extracting myself from it. He nodded slowly. Good. Because I need to know if there's any chance you were involved. Even peripherally. No. I didn't know about the affair until Sunday night. I didn't know about the contract manipulation until Monday morning. That's what I thought. Your record here speaks for itself. He drummed his fingers on the desk. We're terminating Beatrice's employment effective immediately. For cause. No severance. No benefits continuation. We're also filing a civil suit to recover the contract fees paid to Harrison's firm. Understood. One more thing. We're promoting Arabella to Senior Vendor Management Specialist. She's been doing excellent work, and we want to make clear that her mother's actions don't reflect on her. He paused. Unless you think that's inappropriate given the circumstances. Arabella earned that promotion on her own merit. She'd be insulted if you didn't offer it just because of what her mother did. James smiled slightly. That's what I thought. Tell her congratulations for me. When I left his office, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Relief. Not happiness. Not satisfaction. Just the simple relief of knowing the truth was out and being dealt with appropriately. Beatrice had built her own prison. I just opened the door and let her walk inside. Friday morning, my attorney called with news I'd been half expecting and half dreading. Beatrice tried to file a claim against the house, Robert said. Argued that the trust transfer was done under duress and should be invalidated. Can she do that? She can try. She won't succeed. The transfer was completed 8 months ago, properly notarized, with independent legal counsel present. There's no duress argument. He paused. But there's something else you should know. 2 weeks before the gala, Beatrice contacted a real estate agent about listing the house. My hand tightened on the phone. What? She was trying to sell it. The agent has emails showing she wanted to list it at $2.1 million and close quickly. The deal fell through when the agent ran a title search and discovered the property was in a trust she didn't control. I sat down slowly. She was going to sell our house without telling me. It appears so. The email suggests she planned to present you with a fait accompli. Sign here. House is sold. We split the proceeds. Robert's voice was cold with professional anger. Except the proceeds would have gone to an account she controlled. She'd already set up a transfer to an offshore bank. How do you know this? Tristan found the account application in her email. She never completed it because she couldn't sell the house, but the intent is clear. She was planning to take the money and run. I stared out the window of my home office, watching leaves fall in the backyard. 22 years of marriage, and it turned out I'd been living with a stranger. Someone who'd planned to steal our home, embezzle the proceeds, and disappear with her consultant boyfriend. What happens now? I asked. Now this becomes evidence in the divorce proceeding. It demonstrates premeditation, financial misconduct, and intent to defraud. The judge is going to take one look at this and throw out every claim she makes. Robert sounded satisfied. She won't get the house, won't get alimony, won't get anything except whatever personal property she can prove she bought with her own money. Good. There's one more thing. Harrison Sinclair's been arrested. That got my attention. For what? Wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and theft by deception. Apparently, the contract with North Point wasn't his only fraudulent deal. Federal investigators found a pattern going back 6 years. At least 8 similar schemes with different companies and different women. Robert paused. Your wife is probably next. The prosecutor's building a case against her as a co-conspirator. How long until they charge her? Could be days, could be weeks. Depends on how fast they build the case. But it's coming. After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. Part of me felt vindicated. The rest just felt tired. Arabella came by that evening with Thai food and the news of her promotion. She was excited but cautious, like she wasn't sure if celebrating was appropriate. Dad, you okay with this? Me staying at North Point. Why wouldn't I be? Because of Mom. Because people will talk. Let them talk. You earned this promotion. Don't let her mistakes dim your accomplishments. I opened the pad Thai container. Besides, the best response to gossip is excellent work. Show them you're nothing like her. She smiled, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. James said you vouch for me. I told him the truth. That you're good at your job and deserve recognition. We ate in comfortable silence. Tristan joined us halfway through, bringing beer and updates on the investigation. Harrison had hired a high-powered defense attorney. Beatrice was trying to negotiate immunity in exchange for testimony against him. Will it work? Arabella asked. Doubtful, Tristan said. She's just as guilty as he is. The prosecutors know that. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it. Mr. Mason, this is Celeste. Thought you should know. Harrison's attorney tried to claim I drove him to infidelity through emotional neglect. The judge laughed him out of court. Divorce finalized today. He gets nothing. Thank you for your help with the evidence. Good luck with your case. I showed the text to the kids. Arabella grinned. Sounds like karma's working overtime. Sounds like the truth finally caught up with people who thought they were smarter than everyone else. I corrected. Later that night, alone in the house that Beatrice had tried to steal, I felt something shift inside me. The anger was fading, replaced by something calmer. Not forgiveness, but acceptance. This chapter was closing. Whatever came next would be built on truth instead of lies. And that was worth more than any marriage built on deception. Arabella came to my office Monday morning with her laptop, in a strange expression I couldn't quite read. She closed the door behind her, sat down across from my desk. Dad, I found something. You need to see this. She turned the laptop toward me. The screen showed an email account I didn't recognize. My name was on it, but the address was slightly different. Leonard Mason North Point instead of L. Mason North Point, my actual company email. What am I looking at? A fake email account Mom created 6 months ago. Arabella's voice was tight with anger. She's been sending emails to Tristan and me from this account, pretending to be you. She clicked through the messages. I read them with growing horror. Emails criticizing Arabella's career choices, calling her work mediocre. Messages to Tristan saying his IT consulting was a waste of time, that he'd never amount to anything significant. Cruel words I would never say, written in a style that almost sounded like me, but was just wrong enough to feel off. How long has this been going on? Since April. Maybe longer. I kept getting these emails and thinking they didn't sound like you, but the address looked right at first glance. She scrolled down. Tristan got them too. Worse ones. She told him you were disappointed in his career, that you wished he'd pursued engineering instead of IT. My hands curled into fists. Why would she do this? Control, maybe? Trying to turn us against you. Arabella's jaw was set. I ran a digital forensic trace. The account was created using Mom's home computer. Same IP address. Same browser fingerprint. It's definitely her. I sat back, processing this new level of betrayal. Beatrice hadn't just cheated and committed fraud. She'd actively tried to poison my relationship with my own children. We need to document this, I said finally. Add it to the divorce evidence. Already done. Tristan's preparing a full forensic report. Arabella looked at me with steel in her eyes. Dad, we never believed those emails. They didn't sound like you. We knew something was wrong. That knowledge settled something inside me. Beatrice had tried her best to destroy what I had with my kids, and she'd failed completely. The call from the FBI came on a Tuesday morning. Special Agent Catherine Rhodes introduced herself with professional courtesy that made me sit up straighter. Mr. Mason, I'm investigating financial fraud allegations involving Harrison Sinclair and several co-conspirators. Your name came up in connection with the North Point contract. Do you have time to speak with me? Yes, I said. I have time. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Agent Rhodes was mid-40s, sharp-eyed, carrying a thick file folder. You're not under investigation, she began. We believe your victim. However, your cooperation would be valuable. She opened the folder, showing documents I recognized. Emails between Beatrice and Harrison, contract specifications, payment records. Mr. Sinclair has been running this scheme across multiple states for 6 years. He targets women in procurement positions, initiates relationships, convinces them to award fraudulent contracts. She pulled out a chart. 9 women that we've confirmed. Your wife was number 7. Total fraud exceeds $3 million. I stared at the numbers. What happens to Beatrice? That depends on her cooperation. If she testifies against Sinclair, we might recommend reduced charges. If she refuses, she faces conspiracy charges, wire fraud, potentially money laundering. We talked for 2 hours. I walked her through everything. The affair, the gala, the emails, the fake account. Agent Rhodes took meticulous notes. How are you holding up? She asked finally. The question surprised me. I'm managing. I'd rather know the truth than live in comfortable ignorance. She nodded with what looked like respect. For what it's worth, you're handling this better than most people would. After she left, I sat in my car for a long time. Federal charges. Potential prison time. Beatrice's life was unraveling in ways I couldn't have imagined 3 weeks ago. Part of me felt guilty. The rest remembered those fake emails, the calculated manipulation, the months of lies. She made her choices. Now she'd live with them. I drove home, called the kids, told them about the FBI meeting. Tristan whistled low. Federal charges. That's serious. I know. Are you okay with that? I'm not happy about it, but I'm not going to interfere with justice. That night, I lay in bed thinking about the woman I'd married versus the woman I divorced. They seemed like two different people. Maybe I'd just finally seen who she really was. The courthouse was cold marble and fluorescent lights. I sat in the gallery watching as Beatrice stood before Judge Patricia Hammond for sentencing. Harrison had already been sentenced to 8 years federal prison. Today was Beatrice's turn. She'd rejected the plea deal, insisted on going to trial, and lost spectacularly. The jury deliberated for 3 hours before returning guilty verdicts on conspiracy to commit fraud, wire fraud, and forgery. Her attorney had argued she'd been manipulated by Harrison. The prosecutor had presented our emails showing she'd been an eager participant. Ms. Mason, Judge Hammond began, reading from her notes. You held a position of trust at North Point Manufacturing. You abused that trust to enrich yourself and your co-conspirator. You manipulated procurement processes, forged documents, and attempted to defraud your own husband. She paused. Your actions have damaged not just your victims, but your own children, who provided testimony against you. Beatrice's shoulders shook. Her attorney put a hand on her arm. I'm sentencing you to 4 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release. You'll make restitution to North Point Manufacturing in the amount of $400,000, plus damages. Judge Hammond's voice was firm. Perhaps this time will give you opportunity to reflect on the choices that brought you here. Bailiffs led Beatrice away. She didn't look back at me. I felt nothing watching her go. No satisfaction, no vindication. Just tired relief that it was finally over. Outside the courthouse, Arabella and Tristan waited. We didn't talk much, just stood together in the winter sunlight. It's done, Tristan said finally. Yeah, I agreed. It's done. We went to lunch, the 3 of us, and talked about anything except Beatrice. Work projects, weekend plans, normal family things. Slowly, we were rebuilding what she tried to destroy. That evening, Celeste called from Seattle. I heard about the sentencing. For years. That's substantial. It is, I said. How are you doing? Better. I took a job with a corporate investigation firm here. Fresh start. Harrison's appealing his sentence, but it won't help him. She paused. Thank you for your cooperation. We couldn't have built the case without your evidence. Thank you for reaching out that night. If you hadn't sent that first message, I might never have known the full extent of it. We helped each other. That's what matters. Her voice was warm. I'm giving a presentation in Chicago next month on fraud prevention. If you're ever in the area, maybe we could get coffee. I'd like that, I said, surprised by how much I meant it. After we hung up, I poured a glass of whiskey and sat on the back porch. The house was mine now, legally and completely. The divorce was final. Beatrice was in federal custody. All the legal battles were finished. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt quiet. The storm had passed, leaving everything changed in its wake. But I was still standing. My kids were still with me. And tomorrow, I'd start building whatever came next. 10 months after the gala, I sold the house. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I bought a smaller place across town, modern and clean, with space for the kids to visit, but no echoes of the past. Arabella had been promoted again, now senior director of vendor management. She'd earned it through excellent work and unshakable integrity. Tristan had started his own IT security consulting firm, already pulling in corporate clients who valued his thorough approach. They were thriving, both of them, stronger for having survived their mother's betrayal. We had dinner together every Sunday. No agenda, no drama, just family. One Saturday morning, I met Celeste for coffee when she was in town for a conference. We'd stayed in touch over the months, occasional texts and calls, the friendship of two people who'd survived similar storms. Leonard, she said, sitting across from me with a warm smile. You look good. Settled. I feel settled. Turns out letting go of dead weight does that to a person. We talked for 2 hours. Easy conversation flowing naturally. She told me about her work in Seattle, her apartment near the waterfront, the life she was building from scratch. I told her about the new house, the kids' successes, the peace I'd found in simplicity. You ever think about dating again? She asked, direct as always. I'm starting to. You. Same. Scary thought after everything, but also exciting. She met my eyes. What if we tried it? You and me. See what happens when two people who've been through hell try something honest. I considered her words carefully. No games. No manipulation. Just straightforward honesty. I think I'd like that. Good. Because I've been wanting to ask for 2 months, but didn't want to complicate things while your case was ongoing. We made plans. Dinner next week when she was back in town. Nothing rushed, nothing forced. Just two people taking a chance on something new. That evening, I video called both kids to tell them. About time, Arabella said, grinning. Celeste, great. Smart, honest, been through the same stuff you have. Just take it slow, Dad, Tristan added. But yeah, I'm happy for you. After the calls ended, I stood in my new living room, looking at photos of my kids on the wall. They were good people, strong people, untainted by their mother's choices. Whatever else had fallen apart, I'd done something right. My phone buzzed. A text from Celeste. Already looking forward to next week. Thanks for saying yes. I smiled and typed back. Me too. The past was buried. Beatrice was serving her sentence. Harrison was locked away, and the fraud was exposed. Justice had been served, not through revenge, but through truth and accountability. And now, standing in a home I'd chosen, with children who respected me and a future full of possibility, I realized something important. I hadn't just survived the destruction of my marriage. I discovered who I was without it. Stronger, clearer, free. The sun set outside my window, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Tomorrow would bring whatever it brought. I'd handle it with the strength I'd earned and the wisdom I'd gained, because I'd weathered the worst storm of my life and come through it standing tall. And that knowledge made everything else feel possible.